G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the YouTube channel. How are we all doing? Mate, I have found a nice little proper place to record today, that's for sure. Just finished work, hopped out, thought I'd do a nice little video on the topic. Alright, now you've seen on my videos before, I've definitely done a review sort of thing about the Rebel 500. I've talked about it before, but today we're talking about my thoughts on the bike after about 20,000 clicks. I've almost got 22,000 Ks on it now, but 20,000 sounds better in the title anyway. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty simple. If you're thinking about getting this bike as your first bike, there's only one way to do it, and that's just buy it. It's fantastic, all right? As a beginning bike, a Rebel 500 is a phenomenal starting thing. You've got nice big fat tyres on the front so it doesn't tip in on you awkwardly, so it's nice and smooth the whole time. It's a bit slow if you're trying to be really quick about it, but it's not really enough to be detrimental to you. It's fine. You're never really going to notice it. Headlight wise, hey man, if you can get the older model without the LED, I would change it immediately. But that being said, the LED light is a little bit annoying in some nights because you can't see around a corner if you're turning. Besides that, these are always on when your bike's on. Beautiful for visibility. The bike's lights are nice and bright. If people can't see you, they're just, a little bit lost in the head. Nice and bright LED lights, I believe, front and back. They're not too ugly. I was originally going to do a tail tidy. Did decide it wasn't really worth it. Yeah, spending the extra money on a learner bike, to me, it started to become a little bit arbitrary, so that's why I didn't do it. But there's definitely got its modes for it, alright? So, let's talk about the usual things. Exhaust is one of those things that looks disgusting on this bike. Most stock exhausts do. Sounds terrible. Get rid of that sewing machine. Make your bike worth it, alright? She'll sing and be beautiful ever since. Okay, this little bitch here, if you own a bike, you know what I'm talking about, this kicks into your leg. So when you're sitting here, you'll find it really sort of hits into your leg. So that's one of the quirks of the Rebel 500, unfortunately. You can get forward control kits. If you're interested in the 300, I don't think it's still there. And if you're getting the 1100, you don't have this problem anymore, okay? Stock mirrors are really nice. These are the stock mirrors. I did flip them upside down. That's literally it. There's no other mods to them. They're just flipped. That's fine, okay? This is really easy to scratch. First time you clean it, be careful, use a towel, wash it with water first, then of course wipe it down because otherwise it looks like mine. This, however, I don't know how this happened because that's never been damaged. The paint chips off this thing as well, so be careful, okay? Seat, she's a little rough, she's very hard. You do get used to it. I've gotten used to it. Besides that, there's not much more I can say about the seat. Look-wise, radiator looks a little part spin, but hey man, it's fine. The way the bike runs really smoothly. Look, it's Japanese, ain't going to be major faults with it. The brakes are adequate for your first bike. Fantastic stuff. Tyres, good for cruising. You're not going to run out of tread. Like this one I only just changed now and I've nearly done 22,000 Ks, so there's that. Forgive me if I'm running out of breath. Talking and speaking in a helmet while moving around, it gets a little annoying. Chain. Look, it's the only thing I think the bike sucks for, because, look, chains are better for power delivery, but I really wish for a cruiser it had a belt. But hey, that's the life. It's not the end of the world. Just lube it and take care of it, and it'll be fine. Mine's a bit loosey-goosey. Don't look too closely at that, and it won't hurt you. All right, besides that, controls on this bike feel really nice. You've got a nice little... You know what I mean? They've got a nice feel to them. Nothing crazy, but they do feel good. You got two buttons on here that control your odometer, and you can reset it and set it up. Pillion pegs come stock with the bike. I wouldn't recommend taking them off if it's your first bike, because guess what? When I dropped my bike, this acts as a slider. Didn't damage the back, but did scratch that bit that got replaced. Besides that, that's all the first little bits of the bike. Let's hop on the thing, and we'll go for a bit of a cruise and talk about it in a little bit of depth whilst doing that, I reckon. Because last time I talked about it, I went over more mods and things like that, and then in my review, more so, well, you can watch that if you want that as well. There's a bit more complaints, I think, in my last review over the first one. So there's the noise. Nice little exhaust note. Alright. I don't know how well that's going to come through the helmet mic, but let's see how well this goes as a trail bike to start with. Look at those horses. She's got a weird look at me like I'm out of place, but this is a road, so I really don't understand. Oh, because there's houses down here, so what are you looking at me weird for, woman? Gosh. Anyway. As an off-road machine, look, this bike has done surprisingly well. I've taken it off up a 4x trail, and it survived. Went up and down these bloody steep vertical climbs Would I recommend it? No, but if in a dire situation, if you need to do it, it is possible, all right? But now that we're off-road, this is a good time to talk about suspension. The suspension in this bike, obviously compared to like sports bikes, is not very hard, but it's for a cruiser, it's quite firm, okay? So you can't really change anything. I think you just change the rear preload and that's it, I think, which is fine. You don't really need to do sporty riding on cruisers, and if you do, you would, well, you've either bought the wrong bike, which I feel like I had eventually, or you just, you know, you're riding the bike way too hard. Okay? Actually, let's go this way. That's a better ride. Woohoo! Let's go. Well, that was a pull in second gear up to 80k. So look, it's not the fastest bike in the world, but look, I think it hits 100 in about 5.2 seconds. So it's just about 60 miles an hour. Realistically, you don't need much more acceleration. You're still beating every car on the road as it is, man. Stop being a little bit pretentious and thinking you really need a faster bike than that. You don't. It's not real. How will it handle the highway? Completely fine, okay? Look, there's nothing wrong with this on the freeways. It handles the roads well. She goes at the speed limit comfortably. And honestly, I've never really had a reason to complain about it. I thought I can overtake just fine. I know it can get up to about, the bike can get up to about 135, 140 before it really starts running out of gas and starting to slow down, and its acceleration. The top speed of the bike, remember, is only 171 clicks. I have seen it get to 178 personally in a completely controlled and legal environment, of course. We don't break laws around here. But I know it's possible, all right? It's definitely doable, but it really isn't a fast top speed bike. Like, it's a cruiser, man. It does cruisery things. She cruises. But also, Rebels are not known for their cruiser riding styles. They're known to look nice, but in terms of actually cruisering, they're not great cruisers in that regard. Because, well, let's start with... So the Rebels power delivery is more mid to top end. It's got the CBR 500 engine, which is a sportier engine. It's not the super sport engine, but you know, it's a sportier engine. It likes to rev out. It's not a torque monster, okay? You say you get a Harley or an Indian Chief or something with V-twins, they're all low-end power, like a diesel engine. These things, you got to rev them out. Which, honestly, it's fine. At this power level, it gives a good level of enjoyment, especially because this is your first bike. You're sort of figuring out what kind of riding you want to do. So obviously, if you like cruising, you'll find that out pretty quickly. And then, look, it can still cruise comfortably. But if you like revving out the engine to have a little bit more oomph, you'll find that out as well with this bike. So if you want to find out if you like your sportier riding styles, or you want to actually just have your oomph as you accelerate, this will pretty much tell you what you're after. So it gives you that a little bit of play, which I enjoy thoroughly, all right? Nothing wrong with a bike that likes to rev out. Some people just like to have that when you accelerate, which this certainly doesn't do, but it doesn't not, you know, have a bit of torque for a learner bike, okay? Look, it's fine. It's a 471cc bike. It's got as much torque as a 471cc engine has. But it's a very fun, nippy little engine if you like revving it around. Look, I've definitely taken it through the mountains and all that and revved the hell out of it and played with the power band. You're not going to have a bad time doing so, and I recommend you do it if you get one anyway. And if you haven't done one, do it. There's no better way than finding out what kind of rider you are, even if it takes you a few months. I still appreciate cruisers. I love the looks of cruisers. I will never not love cruisers. But riding this has really taught me that I should probably get a sportier bike for the sake of my riding style. But doesn't mean I won't ever buy a cruiser. But also, all the people I ride with these days don't even ride much anymore, because one of them wants to move to another state and the other one I don't talk to. So what's the point of having a sporty bike to go for sporty rides alone all the time when half of my riding is just back and forth to work? So getting a cruiser wouldn't be the end of the world anyway. But the point being is, seating position on this bike is very naked bike seating, okay? It's so neutral, there's nothing crazy about it. It's not a super relaxed position, it's not a super committed position. It is just a nice, comfortable riding position, and that is nothing to complain about in that regard. Woo! Alright, you know what I mean? Like, it is... You should really know where you're going before you make these commitments, mate. Oof. It's nothing to complain about. You will sometimes on a really long day of riding, I'm talking about, you know, 6 or 7 hours, you might cramp your legs up a little bit. Well, there's nothing wrong with cramping your legs up, alright? I'm going to get behind this car. I don't want to be that dick and get in between them. It's a nice green, that, actually. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by colours. But it's a nice little thing, all right? If you're doing really large commutes, you might want to get yourself an extra fairing, which is fine. This stock one, honestly, godsend. If I didn't have it, I feel like I would complain a little bit more about the wind in your chest, because it pushes just enough out of the way where it's still, you still feel it sort of hitting the top of your chest, but it's not destroying you, you know what I mean? Obviously, if you're ridden naked bikes go fast, you will know what I mean. But it's not a ridiculous amount of wind in your chest, okay? It's a good amount. Sometimes you'll find it flicks a bit of water up from the front tyre, but that's fine. You're not the end of the world, especially most people don't ride in the wet anyway. You can break traction in the wet. It does have enough torque to do so. Believe me, I've done it a few times and I didn't know what was happening, because a bike with 47.5 horsepower and it starts spinning this wheel, you go, what the hell's this? It ain't because of my super powerful engine, I'll tell you that much. You do have to be a little bit careful. I forgot about mentioning this before, but the chain guard, it doesn't have screws. It's sort of like click-in pins, and one of mine fell off. So it fell off a few times, but it fully fell off this time. So I used to unclick, but stay in there. Now it's completely gone and lost to the Aether. We don't know where it's gone. You still have plenty of gas in the tank to actually take people if they're going slow in a line, which is great. You know, you don't want to have to deal with all these people. What is this? This is the road I wanted to go on. Fantastic. It's a nice looking bike, we'll give it that. I've gone out to places where people have asked questions about the Rebel. They're becoming very popular in the learner category, so I feel like most people will know what they are now. You still will get laughed at by your mates if they're all sports bike guys. You can just tell them to go to hell, because we ride bikes for the sake of riding bikes, not because we have to show off how tiny our penises are. You know what I mean? So off we go. Stock grips on this bike were really nice. I changed them purely because I like the aesthetic differences, but in terms of actual grips, they're fine, beautiful. I never had an issue with them, couldn't complain. Stock tyres, they're grippy enough. Look, they're not sports tyres, so if you start fagging it through corners, you can be a bit riskier. I have low sided the bike because of that, but that was also due to the conditions being a little bit damp around said corner. So look, you can still get down, all the way down, body leaning off the bike, scrape and peg before the tyre gives out on you, okay? And trust me, that's plenty of lean for a learner rider in most cases. I definitely ran out of that potential early on because I really sorted to push this. But you can have a great day in the canyons with the boys. I've got a lot of mates with sportier bikes, and I ride faster than they do. So believe me, you can absolutely rip and tear on this thing without feeling bad about it. Okay? Exhaust note gets a little bit stale if you don't like the 180 degree crank. It's got that lawnmower thing. Like, that's why everyone complains about the Ninja 650s. They've got the same sort of crank. They're a bit louder and deeper than this. So like, hey man, engine noise is engine noise. It always sounds nice to me. Obviously the Rebel 1100 is a cross-plane 1100, and that sounds much nicer in my opinion. The Rebel 300 we don't talk about. Little thumper, I think it's terrible. Unless your country really doesn't let you get any more, fair enough, go for it. But if you can get the 500, never get the 300. It's just not worth it. We don't even sell the 300 in Australia. That's how little we care about that thing. But like I said, when you're riding, you will notice the transfer case, or whatever the hell, the transmission on the bike. Transfer case? I don't know, man. Tranny case, that's the word I'm thinking I'm looking for. I've been spending too much time with Hugh with his bloody 4x4. It will hit your shit a lot, okay? It gets annoying in the beginning. You get used to it, so it doesn't hurt anymore. You just learn how to position your leg nicely, and guess what? It goes away. Lube and chain doesn't take too much, not too much effort to pick it up. You got the swing arms, pick it up there. There, man. It's a perfect beginner bike, as I've said before. Now, as I've also said, is the longer you ride the bike, the more annoying that becomes, because it's the perfect beginner bike. Some people will buy this and be happy with it for forever, and that's completely fine. Do not think I'm shitting on your toy. I love the Rebel 500. It is a great bike. It's my only bike I've ever owned, and it's one of my favorite looking bikes in history. Honestly, I really like the 500s, even the 1100s. I reckon the Rebels are a gorgeously designed motorcycle. Okay? But they also leave a little bit to be desired and everything. Like, they're great at many things, but you know, that's how it is. What's the word I'm looking for? It's good at a lot of things, but it's not great at many things. That's a lot better. Okay? It's good for sporty-ish riding, but it's not great at it, obviously. It's good for cruising, but it's not great at cruising, okay? It's apparently it's good for doing off-roading, but it's not great at that either. The suspension's definitely not good for it. That's for sure. But man, besides the tank dent, don't look at that. They come in nice colours. The deco on these is really nice, easy to read. You got your gear shifter. Obviously the old ones have the rectangle thing, and they look disgusting, but they do the job. You got your fuel gauge, you got your tacho. Obviously, you can go through the whole thing and see your trip A, your trip B, your actual average, and then in general, and then your total. So there you go, 21,870. That is a lot of kilometers. Levers on this is fantastic. Look at this, man. You can really pull the clutch lever with barely any force. You can literally pinky finger this if you wanted to. It's so light. It's a hydraulic clutch, slipper clutch, I believe. So you're not going to lock your wheel up as well. There's a lot that this bike does well for the beginning crowd. Also, there's a lot of mods you can do for this bike. There's a nice few kits you can do: belly pans, tank covers, tail tidies, wheel changes, the lot, man. This bike has a really, really good aftermarket scene, sort of like the Harley Sportsters, and I think that's sort of what inspired it. Only this is one of the most modern looking cruisers I've seen. A lot of the cruisers still adopt that very old classic chrome and look, okay? Whereas this looks more modernized, and I think it's gorgeous for that. I like things for trying new things. Oh, sometimes you get a nice bit of popping as well, especially when you're going downhill, when you're stuck in gear. Oh, the pops on this exhaust are nice. Now, one thing, I don't know if it's just because I changed the exhaust and it's because it's, I haven't got a baffle in it. There's another Rebel over there. There you go. I haven't got a baffle in it. I think it doesn't accelerate too hard when I pull the accelerator fully. Like this versus that, I don't really feel, say, too much of a difference in the actual acceleration anymore. Now, that could be purely because the exhaust is just too open and there's no tuning as it revs out. So, you know, it is what it is. The bike is fast enough. It still accelerates, you know, faster than any car you've ever driven, unless you own supercars because you're a rich bastard. One major gripe I have with the bike is there's no tachometer. So if you, honestly, I never found it was too problematic for me. It is a gripe, but it doesn't bother me. You learn your bike, you learn how to ride it, and it doesn't take long. You sort of can feel when the power band's right, and if you start chugging, believe me, you're going to know about it. So it's a thing that it might be, honestly, I would say it's actually probably a benefit for learners, so you're not trying to watch your rev matching by looking at your tachometer. You're rev matching purely by ear and feel, which is, well, when you're driving a manual, you don't look at the tacho the whole time. You just bloody drive, and it goes by feel anyway. So I don't know why people complain about it so much, so maybe gripe was the wrong word. It's just a thing, alright? It's a quirk of the bike. That's a better way of putting it. I don't think it's a bad thing. I've never really even really missed not having a tacho. I've never even looked for one. I know that there are some aftermarket tachos, and I wouldn't put one on my bike, that's for sure. Ooh. But the lack of gear indicator would be a problematic one. But guess what? This bike has one, so that's already most of the problem. Whew. I tell you what. Like I said, if this is the bike you're competing with, if you want to get a cruiser as your learner bike, I would say this is probably the best one in the option. You got the new Kawasaki Eliminator. They're not bad, but they are, as I say, a cheap copy of the Honda Rebel with a smaller engine. You got the Ninja 400 engine in them, which is not a bad engine by any means, but I think the Rebel does the Rebel better. Okay? That's just my opinion. Other than that, you got the Kawasaki, what's that other one? The Vulcan. Nice cruiser bike, but that is a more committed cruiser. You got the forward controls, the bigger, heavier bike. Bigger engine, of course, but why does everyone slow down on this road? It's 80 kilometers an hour. What are you doing? What are you doing? Ugh. If you're looking to overtake on freeways and stuff, believe me, your bike has enough power. Just drop a gear or two and off you go. But yeah, the Kawasaki Vulcan is definitely more of a cruiser, kind of like the V-Star from Yamaha. So, if you want a nice light cruiser, nimble, very confidence-inspiring, nice and low seat height, absolutely go for it. Like, you're not going to drop this bike a whole bunch, okay? I've dropped it twice, not including the low side, and that was purely because I forgot my kickstand. I've never dropped it because I lost control standing up or walking it around. I dropped it purely because I'm an idiot and incompetent at figuring out where controls are. But besides that, ladies and gentlemen, honestly, the bike is phenomenal. I hope you've enjoyed listening about it. If you're looking at getting one, go spend the money. You're not going to be disappointed with the Honda Rebel. I know I've had my gripes with it in the past, but maturing is realizing that it's not the bike, it's me. The bike is beautiful. It does everything the bike says it does. In fact, I think it does things phenomenally and even better in some cases, all right? So, I would absolutely, with my heart, recommend wholeheartedly that this is a great bike to start on. And even if you're a returning rider and you don't really want the power, you just want to be on something that's nice looking and not too heavy, if you think the Rebel 1100 is too expensive or too big for you, buy this bike immediately. It is a great bike to commute with. It is a great bike to just go for cruisy rides with. You can handle pillions, you do definitely notice it. Your bike will tell you, you'll notice the power difference, which is, well, duh, you're putting another 60 to 80 kilos on the back of your bike. Of course you're going to feel the difference, so don't act surprised when the Rebel struggles, you know what I mean? It's not like it's a problem. It's just the fact that the bike itself is not a big engine, so it starts to lose in the top end. If you're looking at just cruises but you don't want something ridiculous, I tell you, man, this is the way to go. Oh, hold on a minute. One more. Ugh, everybody knows this place. It's one of my favourite places to do video stuff, except for now that all the construction's ruining everything. Oh, let's... See? Kickstand again. You got your key in a nice place. Like you see, a lot of people with Rebels actually upgrade to, say, like Indian Scout bobbers, and you actually get the key like here on the V-twin. But look at it, man. It's a nice little nippy bike. If you think it looks a bit naked in the front there with the exhaust, or you just don't like the way it looks, just get the little belly pan mod, which looks phenomenal. I almost did it. I was this close to buying that belly pan. And sometimes I still do, but now that my months are closing when my bike's license is de-restricted, I don't know. If I had the money, I'd probably upgrade to an Indian Scout Bobber or an Indian Chief. They're my favourite bikes, but also the Rebel 1100 is spick. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the Honda Rebel. Honestly, you can't ask for a better beginning bike to start on. It is just the bee's knees. Does everything phenomenally, mate. And look at it. She's just a happy little bike. But I hope you've all enjoyed my thoughts and opinions. Let me know down below in the comment section. Of course, leave a like. And as well, subscribe, why not? Join the Discord if you want to have a bigger chat. And as always, take it easy, keep it cheesy, ladies and gentlemen. And peace. Bye.